Hello, and welcome to Phannie's Corner. Frick.
Are you okay?
I had in my head what I was gonna say, but then I heard you, smack your lips, and I was like, oh, is she gonna talk? So then maybe I shouldn't.
No, you paused for so long, and I was like, does she want me to talk?
Yeah,
Okay.
because I didn't know what I was gonna say.
Where we will be talking about the story where we will be reading. No, not reading. We already read it. Where we will be talking about the story that we recently read, Desolation by Audrey. Because we thought that was a good idea.
For some reason.
Mm-hmm.
Like a little commentary.
Yeah, like a podcast, but less, I don't know, cooler.
Less professional.
Yeah.
Also, I would suggest if you haven't already watched our video of us reading it, this probably wouldn't make sense, so I would suggest go watch that first before listening to this.
Yeah. Spoilers, by the way.
Yeah.
Biggie spoilers. It's a really...
Biggie.
Yeah. And spoilers suck, and the story was really good, so, don't miss out.
It was intense.
Yeah.
Not gonna lie.
Let's talk about, the first chapter, reading the summary. How did you feel about that?
Dude, the summary, let me tell you. Okay, so... the summary, I thought it was just gonna be, a cute story where... no, I kind of didn't, because I kind of thought it was gonna be, one of the role plays I've did before, where Phil got kidnapped, and, all these bad things happen to him, and then he comes back, obviously not okay, or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But still kind of be, fluffy and cute, because they kind of, get used to each other again.
Right.
But it wasn't, so...
Yeah, not at all. And just for reference, by the way, this story, we hadn't read it beforehand. Our first impression was the whole recording.
Yeah.
We didn't even know this book existed. We just found it before, recording. So, this was a fresh experience.
Dude, oh my god.
Literally, in between chapters, Taylor and I would just, go off about, what the frick is this story?
Exactly.
What is happening?
It's a very suspenseful book.
It
and
is.
I love those kind of things. I love scary and suspenseful movies or books.
Mm-hmm.
So it keeps you on your edge, the whole book.
Yeah. And, for the longest time, I genuinely thought, Phil was a clone, or,
Well.
I mean, spoiler alert, he kind of is. But, I thought it was gonna be, a supernatural thing, because the cover made it seem, post-apocalyptic, with, the car broken, and just, it gave me that kind of vibe. And then with, go on.
Continue, sorry.
But, the title, Desolation, it's so ominous. I didn't know what to expect. It was scary.
It's also so weird, too, because I didn't even, look at the cover. And as we were reading, that's exactly what I imagined the house to look like if you looked at the house.
Really?
It was so weird.
In my mind, I envisioned the house to be, in the middle of the woods. I don't know why.
Yeah, me too. That's what I thought. Them isolated from, everyone else.
Exactly. But...
because how Dan was talking, that was kind of how it was.
Yeah, and it definitely felt like he was completely isolated.
Yeah. Which was sad, but, it was okay.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. But, God. Okay. Should we just, jump straight into the ending? Or should we,
oh my god, we haven't...
I just...
I don't think... there's nothing really important, I guess, that happens before the end.
Yeah. You know what's really weird, though? While editing, the actual recording, and after knowing at the end, or actually knowing that the entire time, Dan was with Phil's twin, it was just, you realize how Oh my god. It's so weird. Because, like, Dan knew that Phil wasn't himself.
Well, he knew he was off. Like,
yeah.
Yeah. See, even I did. Like, when we were first reading, like, Phil didn't seem to be like Phil, like how everyone else seemed to make Phil out in fanfics.
Yeah, he just seemed like such a dick.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was a bit weird. That's also what led me to believe that maybe he, like, got, you know, abused and stuff whenever he got kidnapped, so he came back kind of different.
Yeah.
Which, in my mind, made sense at the time. Until we got to later chapters.
Yeah. Oh my god. Speaking of later chapters, at the point where, Dan went to Delilah's house and, like, she was saying how Dan was schizophrenic. Like, and they made it seem like Dan was genuinely schizophrenic, and this entire time, Phil was just a figment of his imagination. I was like, wait.
It's like the force fic.
It literally is. Like, I genuinely thought that was what was happening, and that the book was going to end with, oh yeah, it was just all a facade, by the way. Like, I would have been so angry if that actually happened.
Yeah. I think I would have too if it was kind of like a whole, like, wake up from a dream situation.
Oh my god, I hate those.
I would have been really upset, and I'm glad she didn't do it, because that would have been really disappointing. But the whole schizophrenia thing, it made it so more interesting, because not only did he not have it, she lied about it. And for what reason? There was no reason for her to lie. Unless that was her way of telling Dan that
he needs to get over what happened to Phil.
Yeah.
Or to try and give him some closure, which isn't the right thing to do, Delilah.
Yeah, no, it was not the right thing to do.
Oh my god. By the way, you're schizophrenic. Get over your boyfriend.
It's like, no, Phil's not home. You're just schizophrenic, Dan. Get over it.
Oh my god.
Oh, dude, that's so, like, dude, could you imagine? And, oh my god, I got such, how did I say that? I got such weird vibes when, Delilah came, and they went back into the house, and, like, quote-unquote, Phil was gone.
Mm-hmm. Dude, that freaked me out so much.
It did. It kind of gave me a bit of chills. Like, why, where, how? Oh my god, and it also scared me. Not scared. Well, yes, I guess it does scare me. When he was looking through the vinyls, and Phil was just standing there. Well, Phil was, in quotations, was just standing there.
Right? Like, how the hell did he get there? Unless, like, that was his actual quote-unquote schizophrenia, because Delilah was saying how he had schizophrenia. But...
Yeah.
But, like, what if Phil was actually there?
Well, not Phil, but...
Well, yeah, Peter. Pumpkin eater. How'd you feel about the ending?
Dude, I hated it.
How was that for you?
See, I'm the type of person where, whether I roleplay or I read books that have Dan and Phil in it, I hate having endings where they die.
Oh my god, I know! It hurts me so much.
Because, in my mind, they need each other. And I don't mean this in, like, a fan way, where they're, like, relationship-wise. I mean it as in a friendship way, because Dan needs Phil, and vice versa with Phil needs Dan. Mm-hmm. Just because how close they are. Right. And what they've said about each other. It's like they can't... Could you imagine how heartbroken either one of them would be if the other did die?
I don't want to imagine that, thank you very much.
I mean... Okay. I'm sorry. To imagine one of them not being here, it would not only hurt us, obviously, the fans, but even more so the other person, because we don't know Dan and Phil like we think we do.
Exactly.
We're not as close as them, so when I think about roleplays or fan fictions where they die, it hurts me a lot.
Yeah, it's like, it's almost personal.
It is, and it's so weird because we don't even know them. Like, most of us haven't even talked to Dan and Phil.
Yeah, more than half. Yeah. I'm sure.
I'm sure.
You know, okay. Do you have anything else to say? I'm gonna go off topic
No.
a bit. Okay. But something that I was thinking about, like, during the whole ending, well, not during the whole ending, but, like, after the ending, is I was like, oh, Phil's poor mom. Like, all of her kids are dead.
Don't even start.
And
Don't even.
Dan killed both, well, not both of their sons, sorry, but Dan killed Peter, and I'm sure, you know, well, obviously, Kath, Phil's mother, Kathy, loved him, so now both of her sons are dead, and she's been grieving over Phil, and I'm like, well, rip.
Yeah. But for some reason, I feel like. No, I can't say that because it's still our son. But I feel like if it was me, I just wouldn't have cared as much because he just, like. I mean, I would have cared, but I would have been more cold-hearted about it because what he did to, like. That he killed his brother, obviously.
Yeah.
So maybe it wouldn't have hit me straight away had he died. It kind of would have been like, okay.
Oh my goodness. Okay, go on.
And also, like, it's so weird that they didn't even include Adrian and Martin in what they just made up two completely different sub characters being their brother and sister.
Right.
I thought that.
Yeah.
It was so weird, but in a good way, like weird in a good way.
Oh, that reminds me. Okay, when the story introduced Delilah, for some reason I was like, did Dan get in contact with, like, the real Phil? Like,
dude, that's what I thought when he picked up the phone. I was like, who is he gonna call?
Right? I was like so confused. And then when he was actually going to see Delilah, I thought it was like a dream and he was reuniting with Phil or something, and I was just like, what the hell is happening?
It was so weird. Like, dude, another thing that freaked me out, that literally made my chest get so tight, was when he was talking to Delilah and the living room lights came on and Phil quotations Phil, texted Dan.
Yeah, that was really intense.
No, I hated it. I hated it so much.
And then she had the balls to say that Dan had schizophrenia.
Exactly.
Like, he just texted me and threatened me. Like, yeah, I guess that could be schizophrenia, but, like, look at my phone, you twat.
I mean, like, yeah, he could have just showed her the message, and wouldn't have been funny if she was like, deletes the message. Dan, there's nothing there.
You just gotta believe that you have schizophrenia and get some closure.
Dude, if it was like that and he never, like, continued, he would have been dead because Peter would have killed him.
Oh my god. Delilah, you're such a toxic sister.
Oh my gosh.
What if Delilah was the real villain here?
Dude,
and she was working with Peter, and they were both gonna steal Dan and Phil's money, house. They're gonna steal that sweet cash that Phil had hidden for Dan. Sequel?
Stop. No.
Delilah makes a comeback?
Please. Could you imagine?
Audrey,
if
please.
She, like...
That would be something, though.
I'd be so upset.
I would be so happy.
No.
Oh my goodness. Okay, you want to know something that I'm, like, a little conflicted by?
What?
So, the ending almost didn't seem real. Because when, was it the detective? Okay, it was the detective. When the detective came and, like, was talking to Dan, like, saying, you're a hero, you're Phil's hero.
Oh, that hurt me.
It did, but, like, I'm probably looking way too into this, but...
No, I get it. It seems a bit, like, too surreal. Like...
Yeah. It's like, you're Phil's hero, and, like, I feel like that's something that was in his mind. Because he just killed someone. I don't feel like the detective should be like, oh my god, great job, you killed Peter.
I mean, given the situation that everything has happened, and obviously she knew about everything.
Yeah.
I
don't know, I'm probably looking too much into it. But, and then with, like, the I know.
Yeah, that seemed a bit, like, weird.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, but then I take that anyway. Like, if someone, I take that weird anyway. Like, if I say, like, I love you to someone and they're like, I know, I'm like, geez, okay.
Right? And, like, it's just, I don't know, it's an unsatisfying ending, but it's satisfying.
Is. Because, like, at the end, what does she say? I think she's like, at the very end, it's just like, he's all that mattered, Dan said. And then she just says, I know. And then he just says it again. That's all that's ever mattered. And she just says, I know again. And it's like, I don't know. It's just weird.
It is, like, it's sweet, like, I get it. She's saying, like, I know. But it's just like...
Yeah.
Anyway, enough about overanalyzing the ending. How was the story? Like, how did you...
I mean, I genuinely enjoyed it because, like I said, I enjoy very suspenseful movies and books and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And to have something like that where it took a turn almost every chapter.
Right? Like, every ending was just, like, so, like, a cliffhanger or, like, really unsatisfying. And they're just, and it, like, leaves you with questions. And I remember so many times when we finished a chapter, we're like, oh my god, what is happening? Or, like, ooh.
We had an observation for, like, every chapter after we, ended it.
Yeah.
And it was, what's the word, though? There's a proper word for it, but we had, obviously our own thoughts on it and what would happen.
Yeah.
Because we didn't read ahead, but...
You did.
Well, no, so here's the thing. I only read ahead to what was shown. I didn't scroll down because... I only read ahead to what was my part because, I stutter a lot, so I had to prepare myself.
Right, okay. You just want to see what happens next before me.
No.
I get it.
I didn't.
I get it.
Though, when you were reading and you kept messing up a few times, I did read ahead a bit and, gasp a few times, but it's okay.
Okay. As for me, the thoughts on the story, it wasn't what I expected at all. Like, going into it, I had a completely different idea for how the story was going to turn out. And I guess it's kind of like both a good thing and a bad thing, because the good thing is that, you know, it surprised me, and it wasn't just like a cliche. But the bad thing about it was I was like...
it wasn't at all.
Yeah, no, not at all. But, like, I was expecting things to happen, and then I got disappointed. But that's my own fault. It isn't Audrey's fault.
You're just having big expectations.
Yeah. But, like, oh my god, I don't know how to feel about the ending. Like, obviously, it was just, like, heartbreaking. And then, like, Dan's whole speech, like, about how he remembered Phil, and he remembered, like, his freckles.
Oh, dude, that broke me. Please do not bring that up.
Oh my god. That was, like, such a good speech.
While they were fighting, and he was just, like... I had pictured it as if he was, like, on the verge of tears, it, like, falling down his cheeks, and he was just screaming at Peter, telling him he knew that Phil, like, etc. and stuff, and knew things about him, and it just broke me, and I was like, oh my god.
Yeah.
Dan,
and
no.
it kind of hit close. It kind of hit home, because at a point, it was, like, they were talking about how, it doesn't matter if Phil doesn't want to tell him certain things, because he'll give him time. Because, like, that's a very realistic thing, at least in the perception of Phil that we have in the fandom. Like, how he never, like, talks about stuff, because he never seems comfortable with that. And then it's just, like, the realization hits that, like, he's dead, and he'll never be able to talk about those things.
Oh my god. Ew, I don't like that. Oh my god, the fact that he, like, in the story... The fact that now he can't ever tell Dan things.
Honestly.
Oh my god.
It is so heartbreaking.
Summer, why did you bring that up?
I'm sorry. It was an observation. Okay. But literally, the ending was so good, but just...
It was traumatic.
It was. But, like, I hated it. It was just... It hurt me so much. And, like, while I was reading Dan's part, like, I was honestly, like... getting
tearing up.
Yeah, I was getting really emotional. I was like, frick, this is so good. Why are you doing this to me?
When you were reading, I literally was tearing up and my nose was doing that tingly thing and I just like could not.
Yeah.
Ew.
Oh my god. And I remember like you took like there was like such a long silence after I finished like my part, and then you had to talk as the detective, and I was like, is she dead? Did she just like is she gone?
I died.
It was so intense.
It was so hard for me. See, here's the thing. I also get very immersed into fanfics.
Same.
I shouldn't, but I do. Oh god, I can't wait till you read Bluebird.
No! Oh my god.
Just hearing you read whatever Dan had to say in the end, because of how attached I get to fanfics, it hurts you, dude. Like, it really does.
It does.
And oh my god. And for fandoms such as Dan and Phil, we're such an intimate and such a close fandom. Well, we were.
I mean, we still kind of are if you stick with the right people, but yeah, I get your point.
I mean, like, with Dan and Phil, but anyway. We are such a open and intimate fandom, so we know a lot about them, so when we read fanfics, I feel like most to all people get very immersed into fanfics.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why it makes it so much more emotional, because I can't imagine that happening with, like, a BTS fanfic, but, you know, anyway.
Oh. Sister Snap.
I mean, like, you could, but, like, I've been a K-popper and I've listened to BTS and I've read fanfics and I haven't got emotionally attached like I have with, like, Dan and Phil fanfics. But.
Yeah, it's so weird, like, okay, not to toot my own horn, but I've read a fair amount of books, and I feel like nothing ever seems to compare to, like, the power of fan fiction. And maybe
it doesn't.
And maybe that's just because I love Dan and Phil so much, but, like, fanfic writers...
dude. I'm sorry, continue.
Dan and Phil fanfic writers are, like, so talented. Like...
We are.
I don't know how we do it, but, like, we are... We deserve to, like, sell our books. It's that good. We deserve to be... Why isn't, like, fan fiction, like, a freaking job? Because so many people put, like, so much work and so much effort into beautiful stories, just like Desolation, that do better than, like, 80% of the books that are published today, but they get, like, literally no credit. They don't get paid for it. All they get is support from kind people.
Dude, not joking. I've been to several conventions where people have gotten their fanfic published and they sold it at, like, anime conventions.
Really?
And it made me so happy to see, because, like, they worked so hard on it and the illustrations for it, and they worked so hard for it. And I was like, dude, they deserve it.
That is so beautiful. I love that.
Dude, I was so happy when I saw, and especially one of them was, like, a furry one, and I was like, oh, yes, dude.
Oh my god, we stan.
We do. We do.
I would buy, like, 10 of those. Plus the add-on fursuit.
Oh my god. Oh my god, what was I gonna say? It would come back to me anyway. But,
okay.
Yeah, it just, they deserve more credit than just writing on Wattpad or AO3.
Yeah.
Because, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, and you, like, look at stories like Bluebird, like, stories that are, like, beyond beautiful. Like, I obviously haven't read it, but from the things I've heard, it's, like, a really, really, really good book.
Dude, I've only read half of it, And honestly, the way it's written is so gorgeous. The way it had the, oh my god, the amount of descriptive things they put in it, and how they describe certain, like, feelings or even physical things. It's so, it hurts me.
Yeah. And, like, things like that you never see in books today. It's just, like, there's so little passion, but, oh my god, again, I'm going back to the same thing I was talking about.
Yeah, they don't put, attention into more important things, as in, like, observation-wise.
Yeah, or, like
really, how things look, or smell, or
really cryptic details.
Yeah, which people like me and you enjoy that kind of thing, and I think most people do.
Yeah, and it's like, it's so...
It adds layers to the book.
It does.
Well, depth, not layers. But.
Yeah. But, like, what's even more special is, like, the fact it's from, like, a fandom. It gives you such a sentimental feeling, like, when you think about it, or if you reread it. It just, like... I have that thing with the summer. Like, I started reading that a year ago, and it's just so important to me. But the thing is, it's written about two British white guys. Like, it isn't that deep, but the thing is, we make it so deep.
Yeah.
It's so crazy.
Yeah, also, I remember what I was gonna say.
Yes, go on, please.
When you said that, it may just be because you love Dan and Phil a lot. I remember when I first started watching YouTube and was figuring out, like, apps and stuff, I got on Vine, and I used to be obsessed with Sam and Colby. I would read fan fictions of them, and I was obsessed with them. I was obsessed with them as much as I am with Dan and Phil now.
Oh my god.
I kid you not, no fanfic that I've read of Sam and Colby has ever compared to one that I have read of Dan and Phil.
Yeah.
And it's so crazy, because I remember being so obsessed with them. Even when I first found Dan and Phil, I was so like, oh no, I prefer Sam and Colby. Until, like, I got more in depth, obviously, into the Dan and Phil fandom. And I still nothing compared to the Dan and Phil fanfics I've read.
Yeah, definitely.
They're just so... It's crazy, man.
Yeah. And, like, even Desolation, the story that we're talking about.
Yeah, we're supposed to be talking about.
Yeah, that we're going off the rails with. But even that story has, like, single-handedly taken down probably every single book I've ever read in my life, despite, like, you know, a few other Dan and Phil fanfics. But yeah, like you said, it's like, I can't back you up on that, because I've never had that kind of experience, because the only fanfics I've ever read was Dan and Phil fanfics. But I can see it.
Yeah, it's insane to go from adoring one fandom and thinking you've gotten so deep into it, and then just switching and finding fanfics that, what's the word? Fanfics that are so more sentimental and so more in-depth than what you were reading. And it's not to say that Sam and Colby fans don't put effort and stuff into their fanfics, because, I mean, obviously they do, but personally, no fanfic of Sam and Colby has ever, I guess, reached the standard of mine, personally.
Yeah, or, like, stuck with you.
Yeah, and it's just... And that's not me being biased, because I said that even when I was in the Sam and Colby fandom, I was still in the Sam and Colby fandom when I found Dan and Phil. I preferred them over Dan and Phil to start with.
Yeah, and you read fanfics, but still, for some reason, Dan and Phil fanfics are more sentimental and more important than any other fanfic that you've ever read.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't know why, because Sam and Colby and Dan and Phil, they are very similar in a way, because they've been friends for a very long time, and they've been through a lot together. So, I don't know why there's a difference between fanfics. It obviously has to be the fandom.
Yeah.
So,
God, it's so amazing how much the Dan and Phil fandom like sticks out in comparison to every other single fandom.
Dude, I know.
Because like despite the petty drama that sometimes goes around, you look at like fan artists.
Toxicity.
Yeah, that too. But yeah, you look at the fan artists and like the writers and the editors and just like everyone, and it's just like you've never seen that in another fandom before.
Yeah.
It's, well, I don't know why we're so like talented. But like I love it, and it's like our little talented
Honestly,
family.
It is.
And it makes me, yeah.
That is slowly being ripped apart, but that's not the point of this.
Taylor,
I love you.
We're being optimistic right now. Save your pessimism. That isn't the right word. Yes, it is. Save your pessimism.
For Twitter.
Yes. And 3 a.m. thoughts. Not 1 a.m. thoughts. Or 2 a.m. thoughts.
It's 2 a.m.
Yeah.
For me.
But the point is, I was going to say, things like this, things like desolation, make me proud to be a part of this fandom because I'm a part of a very talented and just like insanely creative community that just like, oh my god, I'm gonna like smack down Dan and Phil right now, but I swear to God, Dan and Phil fandom makes better content than Dan and Phil. I said it.
Oh my god.
I said it.
Summary.
I said it.
Well, technically at the moment, yeah, because Jesus Christ, we're not getting anything.
Basically, I'm gay, paled in comparison to desolation. No, I'm just kidding. That was a very important video. So, we rambled a bit about Dan and Phil. I'm not quite sure if I'm gonna leave that in, or any of it for that matter, but we kind of went off about like Dan and Phil and merch and all that. But point is, we have like 30 minutes worth of just pure rambling, so we're gonna close this before we start talking for like another 2 hours.
Yeah, because
it is getting kind of late.
We were supposed to start with another story.
Yeah, that too.
And I mean, always, like I've said in my own personal videos, leave your own thoughts and comments down below.
Yeah, that's another thing that we keep forgetting to mention. If you have any stories that you want us to read or would like us to read, feel free to leave some recommendations, because we already have a few stories that we have gotten permission to read, but
we only know so many.
Yeah. So if there's like a really good story that you want to hear and we could try and get permission from, of course, leave your suggestions.
And just your thoughts about desolation after you've watched our video.
Yeah, any like things you've catched that we obviously missed, or like things that, I don't know, really struck
your perspective of things.
Yeah, what you thought differently about what we thought, or if you thought same, all that good stuff. Check out Audrey's stuff, because she's the reason that we made that video. She gave us permission, and she wrote it, so like...
Oh, she is so nice. Oh my god.
Yes, we support.
She's just a nice person. She is. Please go follow her on Wattpad and read her stories.
Yes, and love her.
Obviously, yes.
She's very, very talented.
They will be linked in the description.
To reach us, if you want to be like friends.
Oh yeah.
That'll also be down there. And we also have a Twitter account. So that's ran by Taylor. Don't talk to me about it.
Stop. I literally, but here's the thing though, it was my PJ Stan account, but then I changed it to this.
We love a converted Kiki.
No, I still am a Kiki. You can't.
Oh my goodness.
I'm just not, I can't handle too much. And it's like my main and my Stan account is my fan account.
Oh my god.
But yeah, we'll have our Twitter. Well, our personals, obviously, and then the channels.
Yes. Twitter. Okay. So, we hope you enjoyed our first Phannie Corner. Hopefully it was enjoyed.
It was fun to record.
It was fun to record. It's very fun.
Therapeutic.
Yeah. And if you like this, you can tell us. If you hate it, you can tell us. But we're probably still gonna do another one. So
So your opinion doesn't matter.
It isn't valid.
You can hate it, but we're still gonna do it. So.
Exactly.
Like and subscribe.